I took sort of an accidental path into journalism. When I went to college, I went on a music scholarship, and I thought that I would be at first a performer, and then secondly, I thought maybe I'd teach music. And because the scholarship required me to major in music, I went ahead and finished my undergraduate bachelor's degree in music. But all along, I've always enjoyed writing. And about halfway through college, I got involved with a campus radio station. And I thought, oh, this is what I was meant to do. It came so naturally, and it just seemed to be something that I totally looked forward to every day when I had my little show. And I thought, well, somehow I've got to be able to combine my knowledge of music and my love for writing and for performing, and the natural sort of became broadcast journalism. So I went ahead and finished up my music degree, and when all my friends were, after we graduated and everyone else was getting jobs and buying cars and getting apartments, I went right back into graduate school for another 2 years. My musical education came into play practically every day, and that's true. There's a lot of rhythm, intonation, timing, and other aspects that you learn from music that I think translate beautifully into especially delivering information on camera. You never know when breaking news happens, or when a camera is just, the red light goes on and you don't have any script and all you have are a few facts. The ability to gather those thoughts into one coherent story, if you will, and to communicate that, I mean, that's really quite a bit like being improvising a solo. It's just a different sort of, you don't have an instrument. Your instrument is your voice and the information that you have. You need to learn names, places, things, people. You have to become, you know, an expert historian, if you will, within a couple of weeks for people to take you seriously. So I did a lot of research apart from my time on the job. I can remember going down to the old Nashville Public Library, which is now closed, and reading a lot of old newspapers and trying to get a sense for the history of the city and who the important people were in Nashville, just so when their names came up, when they came up in stories, I'd know something about it. Even as a newcomer, you know, if you're placed in a position of authority, and a news anchor does have a position of authority, you've got to speak with some background and some reliable knowledge of the community. There are always challenges. First of all, being in news, you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. And I tell especially students that are studying, you know a little about a lot instead of a lot about a little. I know that sounds overly simplistic, but you may be called out tomorrow to interview a doctor. The next day, you're talking about local taxes and tax rates. The day after that, it might be a crime story. And the day after that, you might be talking to someone that, you know, survived World War II. You need to be able to be fluent with all of those people and to ask the right kind of questions. So the challenges are always there. To keep yourself well-informed, well-read. Learning never stops. Just because you're, you know, in what's perceived as an important job, you're always learning on the job about the craft, but more importantly, about the stories that you might be faced with telling. Because I'm the last, you know, I'm sort of the last barrier between the information gathered and what you hear as an audience member. And so it's not cool to make a mistake. You know, we all make mistakes, we correct them as quickly as we can, but if I know something is not correct in something that I'm about to read, I sure track it down and correct it before we go on the air. You're the authority, and you don't want to make mistakes. And even if someone's gathered the information for you, you don't want to be the person that delivers the mistake. So accuracy, many sources, all the things that you hear in class really do come into play every day. I think the expectations were on me and not the other way around. I mean, I knew I was in an important place and an important position, and at a relatively young age, I was 24. So to be one of the main anchors at a large station at that age was a tremendous responsibility. I just wanted to meet expectations in terms of my own performance and learn from as many people around me as I could. At that point in time in the newsroom, we had a lot of people that were veterans that were there for 10 years or more. And I tried to soak in as much from those people as I possibly could. Again, be as error-free as I might be on the air. And also I learned an awful lot about trying to reveal a bit of myself and my own personality instead of being such a rigid newsreader. I think one of the things Channel 4 pioneered was a personality-driven newscast. And that's what I learned early on from observing other people and also from taking coaching, taking criticism. Dan was exactly the same person on camera as he was off camera, and I think that's an important distinction. We're good friends, and you know, that doesn't happen every day. I don't think that's something you can work at. You know, we all know relationships, whether they be between friends, siblings, co-workers, you know, some of them are just more special than others, and I was really privileged to have a really special relationship with my co-anchor for so many years. It got to the point where we knew each other's body language so perfectly that if he did, moved his pinky finger for some reason, I'd be like, what's happening? You know, is that a cue? We really had good timing and a good time out there. What you see was what you got. The camera can be an expert lie detector. We know when people are uncomfortable, when people are searching for the right words, and then conversely, we know when people are very much at ease. And Dan was really at ease when the camera came on. And he taught me a lot about, just interacting. Don't be afraid. We were talking about mistakes a minute ago. I don't like making mistakes. No one does. But at the same time, Dan taught me how to make a mistake the right way. And if you do stumble or if you do get tongue-tied, to sort of acknowledge it and move on and let everyone sort of have a giggle at the same time about it. And I think that endears you in a way to the audience every once in a while when they can see you're not so perfect. And even if the camera's rolling, sometimes mistakes do happen. But the funny thing is, those are the things they remember forever. Not the terrific stories that you broke or some sort of very interesting interview that you conducted. They remember the time you got all tongue-tied or a fly landed on your nose.